These are the things that I used to say to myself. I never knew how damaging these words were and how they affected me and holding me back in love and life. And honestly, the words we say to ourselves matter. It affects our inner narrative and the choices we make in life. And still, to this day, they creep up in my mind sometimes. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. And sometimes these words aren't said out loud. No, they're said in our own actions, whether we settle for a relationship that we knew was wrong for us, whether we rationalize our partner's bad behavior because we don't think we deserve any better than this, or when we stay too long in a relationship that we know is a red flag relationship and we still look past it because it's better than nothing. That tells me we don't think we are good enough to get the love we deserve. During stressful times, there's going to be a lot of self-doubt, and our inner bully, our inner critic can come into place and say, you know what? You better settle. You're not good enough. You're not going to get that thing that you wanted or that relationship you wanted. Our mind, unfortunately, fills the gaps with the worst case scenario. Why? Because it's trying to protect us. Rarely does the worst case scenario ever happen. We end up giving up great opportunities, stumping our own personal growth because we believe this limiting belief to be true. And for those of you that come from trauma or dysfunction, your inner critic is much louder than the average person. You have to really battle those voices in order for you to get to the other side. But don't worry. I've been in your shoes. I know what it's like. I use these tools every day to get through those limiting beliefs. So today I'm going to share with you 5 tips on how to move from self-shaming to emotional freedom. The first thing I want you to pay attention to is your expectations versus reality. See, the thing with expectations is it brings us a tremendous amount of pain, especially when we're influenced by external things like media, magazines, society, not really checking in on what we want. We're constantly bombarded with what we should do, how we should look, what we should be, rather than really owning our genuine, authentic self, that we're imperfect. All of us are. We're flawed. We all have insecurities. We are all the same. So what I would like for you to do, instead of using I should have gotten that date, I should be prettier, I should be skinnier before I date, I want you to change that inner narrative to I am beautiful. I'm beautiful the way I am. I am getting that date. I will get that date. Own it as if it already has happened, because it will. The second tip is to be mindful and challenge your thoughts. We use our inner critic to self-parent. Maybe you're hearing an ex-boyfriend, maybe a parent, maybe a sibling, a friend. Either way, these thoughts and voices that are negative create a tremendous amount of insecurity. And it doesn't mean just because you say them, they're true. Let me give you an example. I had a client that came to me and he said, I can never date white women. And he's an Asian man. And I asked him, why do you believe that to be true? He said, well, when I was in 5th grade, I wanted to ask this girl to dance and she was white. And this kid said, don't ask her because she'll say no. No white women will go out with an Asian man. And he carried that belief as truth all the way to his 30s. And as we worked together, we started breaking through those limiting beliefs. And he started dating any ethnicity he wanted out there. He wasn't limited as he thought he was. So it's important for us to vet the information that was given to us. Tip number 3 is to give your inner critic an expiration date. And I really mean that. Your inner critic's going to spew all these limiting beliefs out saying that you're not good enough, you're not smart enough. Yeah, it's going to say everything to beat you down. And if you want a pity party, it's okay. Feel it. Let it move through you. Process it. Do not deny it because what you resist persists. So it's important as you let it move through you, you say, okay, by tomorrow morning, I'm going to let this go because it is not productive for me. It is not helping me move forward. And what will help me move forward? And start listening to your positive inner voice, the voice that tells you that you are worthy, that you are capable, and that this hurts, this sucks, but you're going to make it through it, and you're going to learn huge lessons from this experience. Tip number 4 is to retrain your brain. I want you to know that this is habitual. Everything we do is a habit. So someone programmed these negative thoughts into your brain, and there's false programming. You have the right to catch them, to make yourself aware of them. And when you're aware, you can retrain your brain to say what you want as your new habit. So for example, I am never going to find love. I want you to take that limiting belief, write it down in your journal, okay? Because we retain most of what we see visually. Cross it off. Then I want you to write down, right next to it, I am with the love of my life. You heard it right. I want you to write it in present tense. Why? Because our brain processes in present tense. So if you're going to get the negative narrative out in present tense, I am not good enough, I will not find love, you need to replace it with a present tense statement that I am with the love of my life. I've found love. And when you hear this limiting belief, practice it. Practice saying it for more than 30 days, okay? They say we pick up a habit within 30 days. It takes about 6 to 8 months to really ingrain it in us. But if you can manage to do this on your own, you'll start seeing a shift in your attitude, how you show up, and you're going to be way more approachable. Why? Because people gravitate to happy people and they can feel the energy shift inside of you. Tip number 5 is to be compassionate with yourself. And I really mean that because sometimes we are so hard on ourselves. That inner critic voice will say, oh, you're so stupid, Amie. What were you thinking? Why didn't you get it right the first time? But in reality, who cares if you get it right the first time? We have to make mistakes. That's how we grow. No one has become better in their life because they didn't fail. Failures have sparked new ideas, creativity, and really brought us to a new, higher level of learning. It takes time to work through stuff, so it's important for you to be compassionate and loving with yourself as you move through these difficult feelings. Thank you so much for joining me today. Again, if you want more tips like this, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Otherwise, please leave your comments and questions below. I do respond. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.